Hello and welcome back to my brand new video. Are you interested in China? Good, because in this series we will discuss many questions such as: is China socialist? Is China an imperialist country? Does China have a dictatorship of the proletariat? Is China really one of the most totalitarian regimes in the world? Does China kill Muslims? And many other questions. And not to be biased at all, will we use Xi Jinping's books, The Governance of China Volume 1 and 2, to analyze China today. So if you are a leftist or just a curious person interested in China or politics, then just get into my van. Okay, that was a bad joke. And enjoy my video. Analyzing China with Xi Jinping's Literature, Episode 1. Is China socialist? Whether China is socialist or not is one of the most burning questions in the far left and politics in general. Some call it socialist, some call it market socialist, some call it state capitalist, some call it free market capitalist, some call it both, socialist and capitalist. So, what is it now? Everyone has their own personal bias. So let's just see what Xi Jinping has to say on this question in his books, The Governance of China, Volume 1 and 2. According to Xi Jinping, China has a socialist market economy. What exactly is a socialist market economy? Now let's see what Xi Jinping says about this. The key to establishing a sound socialist market economy lies in striking a proper balance between the role of the government and that of the market, so that the market can play a decisive role in allocating resources and the government can play its own role more effectively. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 1, page 116 to 117. So, what exactly is a socialist market economy? Well, in a nutshell, it's just a mixed economy. What is a mixed economy? A mixed economy is variously defined as an economic system blending elements of market economies with elements of planned economies, free markets with state interventionism, or private enterprises with public enterprise. As such, there is no single definition of mixed economy. One definition is about mixture of markets with state interventionism, referring specifically to capitalist market economies with strong regulatory oversight and extensive interventions into markets. The other definition is apolitical in nature, strictly referring to an economy containing a mixture of private enterprise with public enterprise. So this means that a socialist market economy is basically a mix of free market capitalism and state capitalism, or well, there are many types of mixed economy. A social democracy can also count as a mixed economy. Okay, now, so, what is China? Is it social democracy? Is it state capitalism? We will analyze that more right now, because just calling it state capitalism isn't enough to, um, like, it's not enough to show what exactly China is, because China is a very complicated thing right now, right? So, we gotta analyze it more than that, okay? So, Xi Jinping says that there shall be a balance of state interventionism and the free market in the Chinese economy, right? So, but later in The Governance of China, Volume 2, he says the following. 1. Upholding and improving the basic socialist economic system. The basic economic system in which public ownership is dominant and diverse forms of ownership develop side by side is a fundamental policy inaugurated by the CPC. The policy is a pivotal part of the socialist system with Chinese characteristics, as well as an essential requirement for improving the socialist market economy. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 228. So, what does Xi Jinping mean here? He just said a few years ago that China should have a balance between the free market and state regulations and state ownership and stuff like that. So what the hell is happening? Well, and he also said here that China has mostly a public economy and not a private economy. So what does he mean by that? Xi Jinping actually has a different definition of what a public sector of the economy is, we could say, which is different from the one which, for example, Marxists use. And yeah. So if Xi Jinping's definition of the public sector is different, then what does his definition mean? Just state regulations? Well, state regulations are definitely part of his definition. So, what does his full definition include? State-owned enterprises? Workers' own means of productions? Well, you'll find out. But first, we will have a little trivia question. Trivia time! Our question of today is, when was China market socialist? The answer will come after this little ad that I'm making right now. Okay guys, my channel is really struggling at the moment. My number of subscribers and views is just stagnating. So guys, and if you want to keep these kinds of videos going, especially these long ones, like the one that I'm doing right now, it takes me a lot of time to do this one, okay? So, if you want to keep these videos going, and want me to post more videos, just please subscribe, put the bell on, and maybe give a like. I'm really thankful for that. And please share my videos, okay? That would really help, okay? Thank you guys. Okay, so when was China market socialist? The answer is in the 1980s, under Deng Xiaoping. Now, I know that I promised that I will talk about Xi Jinping's definition of the public sector after the ad. Well, I will do that, but first, let me show you a compilation made by me on the capitalist, pro-free market, laissez-faire, and Keynesian things that Xi Jinping said. Okay, let's start. The state protects the property rights and legitimate interests of all economic sectors. In addition, China will promote equality of rights, opportunities, and rules, abolish all the unreasonable regulations for the private sector, remove all hidden barriers, and stimulate its dynamism and creativity. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 282. We must drive deeper reform and opening up, and develop a single, transparent, well-organized, and procedure-based market environment, so as to create favorable conditions for full market competition. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 254. For officials, affinity means that they should be open-minded and sincere in developing relations with private companies. In particular, when these companies encounter difficulties and problems, they should take the initiative in lending a helping hand. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 289. First, we should promote economic development by improving quality and effectiveness. The measurements for this are returns on investment, markets for products, profits for enterprises, income for employees, tax revenues for the government, and an improved environment. This is the development we are expecting. We need a reasonable growth rate. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 264. Moreover, I have also emphasized repeatedly that what we need is quality, profitability, and sustainable development. What we need is development supported by full employment, high productivity, high investment returns, and high resource allocation efficiency. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 256. Okay, I could go on and show all his other Keynesian quotes. Him talking about how all agriculture should be private and other mentally disabled things said by him, but nobody has time for that. Anyway, so Xi Jinping has said a lot of capitalist, laissez-faire, Keynesian, pro-free market things and stuff like that. How in any way does he support socialism in the public sector after this? Well, for one, he supports free and cheap public services funded by the governments for everyone, like free healthcare, free education, public social security, you get my point. To prove that, here is a quote by him to prove this. On the basis of economic development, we should increase the quantity and quality of public services such as education and healthcare and promote equal access to education. To take targeted measures to help specific groups, we should spend funds in addressing their particular problems, providing them with the sense of gain and ensuring that their capability to develop will improve and be passed on to future generations. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 266. For two, he also supports other regulations. So, he doesn't want state intervention into public services like healthcare, you know? He also wants other things. In this quote, he says, Ninth, we should enable the market to play a decisive role in resource allocation. We should value and release the vigor of micro-units. The government should intensify its efforts to do things that cannot be done by the market and fulfill its responsibilities on macroeconomic control, market supervision, public services, social management, and environmental protection. Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, Volume 2, page 266. So, this means that Xi Jinping wants also the state to intervene into the environmental protection part of the economy and stuff like that. He wants all of that to be under control over the state, if you know what I mean, you know? And other things, as you can see here, such as social management and market supervision. Okay? So, yeah. Now, let's take a close look. You know, I said this is the most unbiased way to do an analysis of whether or not China is socialist, right? Well, it's the most unbiased one, yeah, but it's not 100% biased, okay? So, let's take a look at a statistic of the Chinese economy. Alright, so now most of the Chinese economy is private, right? It's private, right? It's still state capitals though, because a lot of it is still in the hands of the state, you know, like 40% of the economy, right? And also, I forgot something to mention. In Xi Jinping's definition, a state capitalist enterprise also counts as a a state-owned enterprise counts as the public sector, you know, and yeah. So, what does this mean? I just gave the answer anyway. China is a state capitalist country right now, right now. But you gotta keep in mind that this is changing, right? Because Xi Jinping is removing all the regulations from the Chinese companies, and this means that China is becoming more free market capitalist, right? And it's also making a lot of the economy public, such as healthcare, education, ecology, you know. China will also keep regulating companies a bit, you know? When they are in deep crisis, like in economic crisis, they will help them. This is basic Keynesian economics. China will go more towards a Keynesian market economy, right? Okay, and it also will become more of a social democracy, right? And it will not be state capitals anymore. This is what China will become, all right? This is what Xi Jinping wants. So what China is today is a bit different than what it's going to be, right? Very soon, right? And well, yeah. In a nutshell, China is a state capitalist country influenced by Keynesian economics, which is becoming more and more Keynesian and more free market, more and more social democratic. You know, it will also have a um, balance of public and private sector soon. I mean, that's already what's happening. The difference between now and then is that most of these public, you know, most of the public sector will be just, you know, uh, stuff which is public in a social democracy, right? Okay. I hope you enjoy the video, and see you in the next episode or whatever video I will post next, right? Okay, bye.